Hi everybody, my name is Gerry and this is part 2 of week 7 of the Photo Africa weekly chat. If you just finished watching part 1, you will see it looks a bit different now, all clean shaven, warm shower. The idea was to stay out there and to do part 2 out there as well, but it was just too cold, it was unbelievable. The story is we were based in the western side of Madikwe and I had to run an errand over to the east, so some friends and family came along, we did a trip over and we recorded all the parts throughout the day. And we went out early morning, we shot some stars, beautiful stuff again, but then the clouds started coming in. Then we went across to the dam where we tried to do some birding photography, lots of geese and ducks and stuff landing, water birds. Then some lions popped up again, same as last week, and we had a fantastic time photographing them. We went over to the plains where there's lots of springbuck and then all the way over to the river. And apart from a couple of chats in part 1, one was about amateur and professional, go check it out if you haven't yet. What I wanted to do now was to look at what we shot today, because we went out with the intent of photographing. Check yesterday's blog post, just wrote about that. The idea was to look at some of the images I got in the day and hopefully from that give you some tips and tricks and things. So I'm going to try this, we'll see how it works. I mean, this whole thing is still evolving. There is a bigger picture to all of these chats. It's coming up very shortly, but we'll get there. Right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to drop an image in. I'll just tell you a bit about it. We'll drop the image in, and then I'll give you some tips and tricks of things that, as we work through the day, because it was myself, Grant Marcus, you know him, I'll put the link underneath, and my dad, we all went photographing as we went through the day. And a couple of things happened which I thought that's quite an interesting thing from a tip point of view, things you don't always think of. So, with that, the first image we're going to look at was, we went for stars. The clouds started coming in and pulled over. So you have got stars on the one side and clouds coming over. Beautiful scenes, but not what we went out to photograph, but still worked out quite nicely. The shot coming up, it was shot at an aperture of f2.8, a shutter speed of 15 seconds, so it's a long exposure, and an ISO of 2000. Right, so here's the first shot. Right, so after having shot that, what came up in the first thing, as we spoke about this, is you need to know your camera. Because while we were shooting those things, it was pitch dark. You cannot now suddenly think, okay, I want to change the ISO. Oh shit, where's the button? You cannot do that. You need to know your camera. You need to be able to just look through or through the tripod in the dark and change these things. That doesn't only go, of course, for in the dark, but if you're with a busy sighting and there's lots of stuff happening, you need to be able to quickly go from AI servo to one shot. Very important, especially if you're looking at things like cheetahs hunting and stuff like that. Another one which comes up often is a straight horizon. Grant and I speak about this often, and it is. I'm not a landscape photographer, whole different breed, fantastic eye and skill they have. But even in wildlife photography and the bit of landscape that I dabble in, your horizon has to be straight. There's nothing more off-putting than a beautiful image and the horizon does this. So you can have the beautiful stars, the clouds. So when we shot this morning, it came up a couple of times where you can't actually see through the camera that the horizon is skew, but when you play it back you think, ugh, and you have to redo it. Skew. The other ones don't stop. If you read the blog post now from yesterday, I'll put the link underneath. We went out with the intention of shooting stars. We got probably about, 10 minutes of stars before the clouds started coming in. If you were so stuck on specifically one thing, that's it, pack up and go home. We did consider, it was bloody freezing this morning, but we kept on going. So we looked at what nature gave us and we kept on going accordingly. And then you get to great images like the one you just saw. Those were a couple. Other ones in the morning was if you're shooting together, we all have little torches to work on your camera to set up and things like that, is check while the other guy is shooting that you don't put a flash into his shot, because then you mess it up. That's the star one. Next shot we came up with after breakfast, we had some muffins and things out in the bush, was we were next to the water and there was a whole bunch of red-billed teals, water birds, drifting along and they were having their breakfast. This is the shot. This was shot at f4, 1/1000th of a second shutter speed and an ISO of 250. This is the image. Right, so you'll see 4 of them all upside down. The repetition of it makes that work. Very cute to watch. One of the chats we had was how their butts must freeze off in that water because, damn, it was cold. I'm going to say that a couple of times. It was very cold. So what we were looking for there is you need to look for behavior. As we watch these animals, these birds, you could see they do it again and again. They're bopping down and bopping down. Sorry, Rocky's talking with. So the thought was that at some point all of them have to drop their heads at the same time. So it's just a matter of time. Look at the behavior. If it's a repetitive thing, it's going to come back. So you probably will be able to get that shot. The grouping, the shot you just saw, you can rewind a bit if you want to check it again. My ideal would have been to have the 3 on the left-hand side a little bit more grouped and then 1 off to the side. You can't decide this, but that's what I was waiting for. As we were looking through the lens, that's what I was hoping for. Still an interesting, cute shot. Also, if you look at that shot, that was shot with a what was it shot with? A Nikon 600 on a D3S. So at f4, at the distance we were from them, you will see that the depth of field is unbelievably shallow. You've got the 2 blurry strips, one at the top of the frame, one at the bottom. That is what you get with telephoto lenses if you shoot at that kind of aperture. In this image it works because I've got the repetition of the little butts in the air and then the 2 blurry strips which focuses your attention into the middle of the frame. Interesting thing to use. If you know that your lens can do this, try it out. Makes a big difference. Next image I wanted to look at was lions. Yes, we were at the water again. Lions popped up and it's a very high dam wall. We were at the bottom next to the water and these things went up on. So we drove around and from the bottom we looked back up at them. The sky was brilliant. It was cold sky. But beautiful sky, clouds scattered and the blue coming through. So this is the image. It was aperture of 6.3, 1/1000 shutter speed and ISO 320. This is the image. Right, so you can see there, the first thing that we try to do is keep it simple. If you're in a position to get below the eye level of an animal like this, it makes the world of difference. There's some kind of psychological thing when you look at an image, especially if it's a wild animal, and you photographing down at them. It's the whole human over nature thing. You want to try and get under. Now on a dam wall that is possible. Look at the composition in that image. It's the lion walking on the dam wall, lots of space to move into, and I've got him in the bottom corner to make use of that background in the back. Awesome, awesome clouds and background. We spent a lot of time photographing these things and I got a lot of great shots on the day, but afterwards speaking about it, the tips and the tricks from that would be, number 1, keep it simple, minimize. Number 2, get underneath your animal's eye level. Makes a big difference, but keep it safe. Dam walls are great for that. And number 3, whenever you don't put animals in the middle of a frame. Too often people start doing things and they fire and they put the animal in the middle. Leave space for him to move into, much more dynamic. Last one we're going to have a look at for now is springbuck. We went through Madikwe Plains. It's a very large open area, no vegetation, little grass, lots of springbuck in general game. The image was shot at aperture f6.3 again, 1/1000 and ISO of 200. This is the image. Right, so what we were doing here, we were shooting, that was shot into the sun. All of us were shooting with the sun over our back because that's where the majority of the animals were, facing into the sun. So that would be the obvious one to go for. What you want to try and do, and this goes for sunsets, sunrises, landscapes and things, even with wildlife sightings, is look behind you. We often, you're so busy focusing on something and there's something happening on the other side. So in this situation, I turned around and there was a single lone little springbuck. I don't know what he did to be all on his own, but he was all on his own over there. The sun was quite high, it's probably about 10:30, but there was still a bit of room lighting around. And what attracted me to it, number 1, was the shape and the texture. Also, again, as with the lion shot, keep it simple, keep it minimal. He was looking straight away from us. We got the shape of the horns, that's what attracted me, and also the texture of the grass going away from him. Nice and simple, nice and easy. Basic composition. Put him on your rule of thirds, put him on the PowerPoint, and you're good to go. Those are just some of the images we had today. I think we filled up quite a few memory cards, not because we were shooting away and just rattling off 50 shots at every scene. We just had so many scenes that we wanted to photo or got to photograph. yeah, there we go. Right, moving on from the images, a quick one on just a question from last week. Elias asked whether he was thinking of a D3S and a D300 body. Now, and he's looking for something a bit smaller and more versatile. Now, this is a D300 with a 14-24 lens. From a versatility point of view, I'm talking camera specific, camera specs. These things are amazing. I mean, the D3S is an absolute beast. Love that thing. However, I think where Elias is coming from is the size. You cannot just stick this in your pocket. You can try, but then there's I almost made the corny joke about, is that a camera in your pocket, or are you happy to see me? But I didn't. Right. So you can't just stick this into your handbag and move along. The one I have, I mean, I do use these most of the time, and when I travel I take this with just a shorter lens. If you're looking for something smaller that's still powerful like these things, as far as I can tell, one of the more powerful ones, if you're staying in the Nikon Canon brand range for now, there's many others, but for now I'm going to stick to those two, is the Canon G12. It shoots in RAW, very powerful. You've got all your modes, program, aperture, shutter speed, and manual, so you can still take control of your images like you do with a camera like this. I'm not too sure of the zoom lens on this thing, but Elias, I think that is something to check out. If you're meaning versatility as far as size goes and carry around capacity, that's probably one I would go for, because you still want to have all the functions and being able to change these things. Then, right, the last two, let's stop there. Questions done. A couple of others I will still get back to. Just time is running out on this clip, because remember, I can only do 15 minutes for now, working on that. The last 2 weeks I've been out and about, and I'm trying to shoot these chats where we're going. I mean, if we're out in the field, whether it's at a lodge, at the office, whatever the case is. So the idea is always to keep it changing slightly, keep it new and fresh. It gives you something different to look at. And the last 2 weeks I've had the ability and I had the time to go and move around. Next week is quite a big week. We're going through to Johannesburg for a few things, so I'm not sure I'm going to have the time to do such an elaborate production and go out into the bush. However, we will have a chat, whether it's from the car, whether it's in Joburg, or when we get back here Friday morning, then, but we will have something up. As time goes then, we'll again start rolling out and see how it goes. Yeah, so that's for next week. A couple of blog posts coming up in the week. The one is called The Beauty of Grey. That's where I'm going to look at all the shots from this morning, where we started out with stars and these grey clouds pulled in. Grey clouds immediately think, miserable, cold, no photographic options. However, the beauty of the grey is what made today special, this morning specifically. So, yeah, that's one to look forward to. The quick picks coming, keep them coming. Then, that's about it, I think, for week 7. Give me a shout, drop me an email, it's at the end of this video, or go look at the website. Any questions, comments, love hearing from you. The chats are going well, love the support, thank you so much. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot coming up. Keep posted, maybe not next week, maybe not next month, but stay tuned, there's big things coming along. With that, I'm going to leave you just with 3 more images from this morning, just us. Adele, Monique, Adele, my wife, Monique, Grant's wife, went with as well. The first image you'll see is of them wrapped up, in between all those piles of blanket, that's them. There's one with me busy photographing, and then end off with one Grant up on the damn wall photographing with the stars and the clouds and things like that. So, thanks for watching. I will see you all next week. Stay in touch. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter, on the website. Have a good weekend. We'll see you then.